Good afternoon, everyone. This is Corey Hinkle with your Ankerstar Wealth Daily Update. We have the stock market hitting new all-time highs while the S&P 500 and NASDAQ are hitting new all-time highs today with the realization after earnings last night that Google is the king of the stock market. Google is the king. I'm going to walk you through that just a little bit. I'll give you a market update, and I'll show you how there's actually quite a few assets, prominent assets, that are not back to all-time highs yet. So, it's not like we're in we are in a really interesting breakaway kind of type of rally, but it's not in all assets. So it's not like the entire stock market is just ripping higher altogether. There's kind of one thing dragging the market higher, and a lot of prominent assets not quite back to new all-time highs. So before I begin, I must remind you this is a financial education presentation. You must do your own due diligence before acting on anything you hear in this presentation. More disclaimer information can be found on ankerstarwealth.com, and the opinions expressed are mine and mine alone. All right, we do have the S&P 500 up about 1% today. Notice there that the Dow Jones is still under 50,000. Wasn't it at 50,000 a few weeks ago? It was. So let's go through just a little reality check here. The Dow Jones, not back to all-time highs, a few percent away. The Mag 7, not back to new all-time highs. It's still, we'll call it a full 2% away. A full 2% away. SCHG, Schwab's famous growth fund. How many assets are in this? $55 billion in here. Still not back to new all-time highs. This one's about 3% away from all-time highs. So what is at all-time highs and pulling us higher day by day? It's our semiconductor stocks out there. How can semiconductor stocks alone drag the entire market higher? Well, at this point, this is, you're talking about something like $15 trillion worth of stocks at this point. And those are just the ones that are in the semiconductor ETF. We know Google, Amazon, Microsoft, and maybe I think even Meta at this point, they all work on their own chips, even though Google's TPUs are the most famous. If we do go to the semiconductor holdings here, you've got NVIDIA, Taiwan Semi, Broadcom, Intel, AMD. So, and they show you the market value, not the market cap. If you could see the market cap of these companies, you are probably somewhere around 15 trillion right now. So this group has been dragging the market higher. And sorry about that. I didn't show you all the names that I was looking at. This group has been dragging the market higher while we're still waiting on the Dow Jones, the Mag 7, SCHG, and some of those others to make it back to new all-time highs. Now, Google is king, and I wanted to walk through something, if you just weren't aware, something to consider with Google as you kind of observe Google's greatness, we'll say, in the market today. So Google has those TPUs. So they have the chips. Okay, Google also has the cloud. They have a very fast-growing cloud. Actually, they have the fastest-growing cloud, but also smaller than Microsoft and Amazon, but the fastest growing. People like that. Okay, they have the development platforms. They have AI models. So they are famous for Gemini, VO, all these things. They have AI services. And then they also have the consumer applications, like all kinds of things, right? It'd be anything that a consumer is using, Google Docs, Gmail, whatever it is, they can integrate this technology in it. So Google, they could make the chips themselves, save money that way. They could use their own cloud, save money that way. Develop their own models, that's as efficient as it gets, and provide the service to clients or customers using their own applications. They're the only company who has it all. Meta has some applications and they have an AI model, but they don't have a cloud and they don't have good chips. Microsoft, they kind of own OpenAI, but nobody knows what's going to happen to OpenAI with this lawsuit, And also some people are saying OpenAI is not even the best anymore. A lot of people are saying OpenAI is not the best anymore. It's all about Claude or something else. So Meta has an LLM, but they don't have a cloud. Or sorry, Microsoft has access to an LLM, but they don't have their own. But Microsoft does have the cloud and the chips. And then the consumer applications, yes, but they just don't have their own LLM. Google's the only one that has it all. Amazon, they kind of own part of Anthropic, which provides Claude, but it's not really in-house. So Amazon has the cloud, but then they don't really have as many consumer applications, and they don't have an in-house LLM. But they do have the chips, some decent chips coming out of Amazon as well. So Google's the only one. They have it all. They are the king of the stock market right now, and it's hard to see where they don't have a competitive advantage. Not that they'll always have a technological advantage. All right, what's going on with Meta? Meta getting crushed today. You know, revenue up 33%, amazing. But costs and expenses grew faster. Costs and expenses growing faster than revenue. You know, if you're getting a good return on your investments, you're going to actually see the opposite of this. You'll see how you'll see revenue growing faster, right, than costs. That's what you would see from a healthy business. Is Meta just not a healthy business? I don't know. Obviously, they're growing very fast. But how are they growing? We've talked about this. Ad impressions. I couldn't find the exact data. I don't know how much of your Instagram feed is ads right now, but it's a lot. And the longer you stay on the app, the higher it gets. So if you look at like your first 20 posts, you may only see like 8 ads or sponsored content posts, about a little like, 40% ish. But if you stayed on for like 30 minutes, you might notice that you might be like above 60%. So they're doing these ad impressions growing 19%. Ad impressions would imply that there's some interaction with the post. Okay, but there's also more ads, more posts. I just don't know how many. And they had users actually drop in the quarter, which they blamed on the conflict in the Middle East. Okay, you know, is that an excuse? Is that a reason? I don't know. It's hard for me to say. But, you know, if Meta's best innovation is just making their product a little bit less friendly for users, I don't know how much the market really likes that. And if at the same time costs are increasing even faster than that, it's like, you're making a product worse and costs are going up. I don't know. So people aren't as excited about the Meta situation right now. And Meta has, you know, relative to what you saw from Google, right, and everything Google can offer in-house, Meta's just not at that level. Here's the problem with Microsoft. There's not a lot of problems with Microsoft, but this is one. Okay, Azure Cloud Services. So Microsoft will give you compute to run LLMs or whatever, or just cloud services in general. And they're growing fast, but Amazon in the quarter had their cloud growth accelerate. Google in the quarter had their cloud growth accelerate. Microsoft had their cloud growth steady. And investors are just going to flock to the king, which is Google. So it's Google's day. Stock market at all-time highs. Look, it even went up more since we were talking here. It's been a really breathtaking rally here. Enjoy either the new highs or being close to new highs, whatever the situation is, depending on exactly where your dollars are allocated. And you know that we've probably pulled some gains forward here, so don't be surprised when we give some back. It's okay. But for now, just enjoy the new highs while they last. Hope everyone has a wonderful day. Look forward to talking to you soon.